This is not only part of China's digital economic, but also the main direction of the economic interconnected development. Since the outbreak of a pandemic, most manufacturing companies have experienced production interruptions, supply chain disruptions, and resumption of work and production. In the production process, the competitive advantage accumulated by the established companies for many years may be subverted, and the new company may also seize the opportunity. Opportunities are developing rapidly, and the industry competitive patterns is expected to be reshaped. Coupled with the unstable global trend pattern, supply chain risks increase, business operating costs rises, and the profit margin continue to be squeezed. Since the layout is driven by the intelligent manufacturing, the digital transformation of manufacturing has become a top priority for the major enterprises. The European Technology Chamber plans to play a major role to the cooperation progress between Europe and the world's emerging markets, building the bridge for the stronger and wider collaboration. As a registered not-for-profit organization, we are committed to helping European companies increase their competitiveness, successfully landing in the international emerging markets, and achieve sustainability. We foresee a future in which technology shoulders the responsibility for sustainable and harmonious world. To facilitate the cooperation between China and Europe, we have also established the Utec China Alliance. Our mission for China Alliance to build bridges for Chinese and European business culture, promote the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in China through European know-how, and help European companies achieve a soft landing in the Chinese market. To achieve those objectives, we are organizing digital events and networking meetings, leading delegations to China, and building a Utec Center in China to provide offices and landing service for European companies. So we welcome you to join China Alliance so that you can keep yourself informed of great opportunity available. On our panel today, I have seen that we have a great range of professionals who will be joined by our moderator, Mariana Poliev, and I'm sure we are going to have a fruitful discussion. So again, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to welcome you all, and I hope everyone enjoys today's proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sierra, for your welcome note. My name is Michaela Meyer. I'm the Director of Finance Alliance, and now I would like to tell you something more about European Technology Chamber. It's really great pleasure being here today. So the European Technology Chamber, short Utec, was founded in 2015. We are a registered NGO, and our vision is that technology obliges. On the right side, you can see our three major goals that are competitiveness, growth, and sustainability. Competitiveness means we are trying to strengthen and promote European technology and values. Grow, we try and help our advocates to access opportunities in Europe and emerging markets, and sustainability, we are trying to reach SDGs through European technologies. And we believe that technology is the key to reach those of our goals. On the next slide, you can see the structure of the chamber. So maybe some of you can remember the chapters and the sections. Now we have the alliances. We can divide them in three types of alliances. On one hand, the regional alliances like China, Africa, Germany, Benelux, Middle East. Those alliances are focused on the topics related to that region. Then the impact alliances like academy, SDGs, finance, or women in tech are focused on topics like finance or engagement of women. And tech alliances is another deep dive, and topics like smart cities, digital transformation, environment, IoT, mobility. Our toolbox. European Technology Chamber is trying to support, on one hand, sharing the knowledge, on the other hand, networking. We are trying to share our knowledge through our white papers, position papers, but also our magazine, Visions for Europe. And on the other hand, we are trying to support the networking. As you know, now you are being part of one type and format of our networking. This is the webinar. Then we have our networking groups, but also we have offline events. You can see here one of our events in Munich. We would like to organize more of them, but due to pandemic, not able. But this year we would like to organize one big event. It should be the next one in Prague, so you will get the opportunity even to meet the very important decision maker and policy makers in person and network. Here you can see also another type of networking. We have a database of more than 6,500 companies, and we can try and help you to expand your network and try to connect you with some of our advocates, and of course we can grow your potential. On the right side you can see the overview of our networking meetings. As I already mentioned, you remember the structure. Each of our alliances is organizing 1 time per month a webinar and 2 times per month a networking group. Here you can see the overview, so please join our LinkedIn group. Then you can see the whole overview, and I'm sure you will find very exciting topics and be part, network, and learn the people and our advocates. Here you can see the amazing feedbacks that we have received of our participants, advocates, and we are really truly happy that we have, let's say, reached this level. So please feel free, join our homepage, utec.org, and our LinkedIn group. Have a look. You can see all of our future projects. And really, thank you very much for listening to me. And now I would like to hand over to Maria, Alejandra, and I wish you very nice and very interesting webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michaela, for that Utec Chamber presentation. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today in this digital event that we are sure will be very interesting for all of us to have a better understanding of a very important topics such as smart manufacturing in China, and also of the current challenges and business opportunities related to the sector that the country offers to the foreign companies. I invite you all to share your questions about the topic and to write them on the public chat that you will find on the left side of your screen. Remember that you can do that since this right moment, okay? So don't wait till the end of this panel to share your comments, your questions. I will be happy to take them and share it with the panelists. Today, we're honored with the presence of 4 great panelists, all of them with huge experience in manufacturing and in China. And I'm sure that they will be offering you a very different point of view about today's topic, sharing with us their great vision, the current situation, the trends, the challenges, the insights, and the opportunities at a smart manufacturing sector in China. Now, please let me introduce to Yang-Sang Chen. He is an optimistic, open-minded innovator, striving to challenge and transform himself. Yang-Sang has engineering analytical skill combined with an entrepreneurial mindset, is intrinsically motivated and enthusiastic about innovations in the digital area, and has a multicultural background and intercultural communication. He has working experience at PwC Consulting in Shanghai, and as well in Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, as well as ETH Zurich and its industry partners in IoT, smart sensor, among others. Currently, process and product development engineer at Utec Group. Yang-Sang, if you would like to say hello to the audience, you have briefly just a couple of seconds to say hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isong. It's really my pleasure, to be invited here and to join this discussion with you. So I really look forward, to hearing the feedbacks and all your experience on the collaborations with Chinese market and Chinese partners.
Thank you. Thank you for that. We're very looking forward to your insights during this discussion. Now, our second panelist is Stefan Ruthert, who joined the Tencent Cloud International early in 2020, and it's responsible for the business development in Germany-speaking countries and the Eastern Europe. Prior to joining TCI, Stefan was responsible for enterprise customers in the retail segment at Amazon Web Services. Stefan has over 13 years of experience in cloud computing and enterprise business development. So Stefan, again, if you would like to say just a few words to the audience, please.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Gracias, Maria. And I'm really glad to have this online discussion, although offline discussion, when I saw those pictures, Maria, I'm really missing those as well. But in the future, I hope to see you also all in person. But for today, I'm really looking forward to talk with Mauro Isong and also with Andreas to see what the other guys see in the future and also in the current markets about smart manufacturing. Happy to share my thoughts.
Thank you so much for that. Now I would like to introduce you to Margaret Rubin, who developed his first program in basic language when he was 11 years old, discovering the passion that would have stayed with him for the rest of his life. In December of 2010, he founded JoinPad, and one of the most advanced augmented reality companies in the industrial sector. In 2011, it presented the world's first wearable AR solution for the maintenance field. In 2017, JoinPad was awarded with the prestigious AWE award of reference event of AR. From 2017 to 2019, he shared the Italian presidency of the BRARA, that is a virtual reality augmented reality association, the largest world association in the sector. Now he works as the CEO in JoinPad, and he represents Tush Holding in Italy as expert in artificial intelligence and as well AR sector, and is currently also located in China. So Mauro, if you would like to say hello to the audience, the microphone is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm super excited to be here to talk about these important topics, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Mauro. Now, last but not least, I would like to invite Andreas to join us with the camera. Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, now Andreas, we can see you. That's great. Hello, Andreas.
Finally. Hello,
Hi.
everybody.
Now, I would like to introduce you to the audience. So I'm going to be saying just a few words about yourself. He has a diploma in biomedical engineering from the Technical University of Utec. Andreas, who is currently and since many years based in China, has working experience at Rieger Medical AG, both in Germany and as well in China, and Eppendorf Lab Technologies in Shanghai, and currently he is the Executive Director of Transportation China at the Liver. So now I would like to give you the microphone, Andreas, to say just a few words to the audience, if you would like to say hello.
Yes, thank you, Maria. Happy and thanks for having me here today. Very happy that I made it finally on the screen. I had a lot of trouble. Now I'm dialing in with my cell phone actually. So computer, different networks didn't work. So I'm very happy having made it now, and looking forward to discussing with you a lot of topics today.
Thank you, Andreas. I can imagine that the audience is as well very looking forward to the discussion. So I believe that after this brief introduction of all our panelists is the right time to start with the panel discussion. And indeed, I believe that we can start with a very interesting question. So what does smart manufacturing mean to you? Who would like to start? You don't want me to be pointing with my finger.
Shall I start?
Yes, sure. Yes.
From my perspective, I would say that the smart, it's smart, it makes a difference from the traditional manufacturing. And by mean start, for my understanding, is about the connections with all the remote technologies with then on the upper level, you have another data analytics and using advanced AI and algorithms actually to help you to increase the productivity and to also to optimize the process in the manufacturing industry. And so for me, it's really about smart of being in the sense of using a lot of IT technologies. I don't know if you agree with you, Stefan. Do you have more experience that?
I was already nodding, so yeah, basically the same.
Okay.
I would maybe add that in terms of the smart part of smart manufacturing, I see it a bit as a kickoff point more than a real definition. So I said, okay, we're now starting with smart manufacturing in the past years, and also, of course, currently. But the future should be to have something that is getting better, of course, step by step with every stone that we can turn, and hopefully someday in the future also self-sufficiently make itself better with AI and ML, and then thereby truly be smart. So we're just making the building blocks right now to make the future hopefully happen someday.
Mm-hmm.
Maria, I don't hear you, sorry. Maria, you are muted.
Oh, Maria, you are on mute.
I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. Thank you so much, Stefan and Yun-Sung. I was saying that if Mauro or Andreas would like to add something to this question, you can do that. Otherwise, I will continue with the next question.
Yeah, it represents a strategic point for the region today, and the smart factoring means a lot in a global context. But I completely agree about the other speakers say.
Thank you, Mario.
Yeah. Maybe a few words from referring to my trouble I had in dialing in this day. The thing smart as well means to adjust to changes rapidly and frequently, because that's something that is typical for the environment here. There's permanent changes, and if one way doesn't work, you have to adopt to another way. So IT is one thing, IT supports, as we all know, but IT sometimes blocks you as well.
Thank you, Andreas. Now, indeed, I have a question for you, Andreas. As one European company, how was the experience, the feeling, the difference to run the business in China compared to Europe?
Well, I have to look back for quite a while, since I'm in China for almost 15 years. Maybe I'm too much on the Chinese perspective already, and as well referring to that the company I'm with now, Leaper is a quite global player with having companies in I think about 50 countries, and being in China as well for more than 40 years. I think we embrace both ways, and we'd like to combine the advantages and the diversity of the people and having teams in both countries. Naturally, one of the biggest differences between most of the European countries and China is the speed that everything is happening here. So let's say it's really impressing, and as well, not just the speed of happening, but as well the reactivity of the teams here is impressive. So just to give an example, since we are doing mainly projects for the railway industry, we provide air conditioning and hydraulic systems for trains. Naturally, in Europe, where we have as well design teams and manufacturing, a typical project may have a few years of preparation time as well, a few years of realization time. And here we may face a situation that we just have 3 to 6 months to realize a project, design and manufacturing up to delivery. Another major difference that we see in our product range is standardization. That maybe refers as well to the smart manufacturing. Smart means as well to have modular systems, you have standardization of products and designs, so you don't have to reinvent everything from scratch again whenever there's a new project. So in China is definitely striving for that and standardizing more and more of their designs. That's something we are not used to from the European perspective, but we have to adopt to here.
Yeah, that's something that we see similar, if I can add to that maybe. So I can only give Andreas the point on that. What we also see is that type of movement from the customer, but and with the technology side in mind, based on something like, for example, flexible development on microservices. So to be able to make a standardization because it's more flexible and easy adopting is basically what you said is the strength of the Chinese business environment, having this fast adoption, willingness to adopt new things, that combined with the new options that flexible technology provides and allows. I think the Chinese businesses are much more eager, not even willing, but eager to have those included into their businesses, to be faster, to be possibly the first to try something even, and also willing to live with some errors or something that's not even finished sometimes, as long as then it can grow and evolve to be at the right place, to make that standardization basically happen to the point where it is a real proven concept, but can then still adapt depending on what changes in the markets. So we see the same thing from our side as well.
Yeah, that's true, Stefan. So maybe one thing to add, and that refers to what you just said, is this good enough approach that we had seen in China for a long time, and versus the European perfectionism, let's say, yeah, and the over-engineering. So, but this is changing as well. So this is getting closer to each other, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's still the biggest challenge for all of us, I believe, to make that cultural switch from European development over-engineering to that over-flexibility in China. Maybe find the correct middle point that might be the future long-term. But I think currently both sides are so fascinating to see on what they bring in terms of either quality or speed or agility, or both combined in the end after a few years. That's always quite interesting. So really love to learn a bit more on what Libra also does on that front, because you have both worlds combined in your business.
A lot of words combined, actually, yes.
Thank you, Andreas and Stefan, for sharing that. Now, Mauro, what does JoinPath do and how can it support the industrial sector?
Yeah, well, we provide augmented reality software for the B2B industrial market. Augmented reality is a technology which allows you to get relevant information about everything. Using smart glasses or a mobile device, for example, during a maintenance process, you can look at the machine, and the algorithm inside is able to recognize the machine and provide all the information needed to repair and solve the problem. Today, actually, we are working with several big companies such as Siemens, ABB, GE Group, and many others. We started to do that in the 2010. At the beginning was a little bit hard because, you know, the augmented reality was quite unknown. But today, this technology is quite accepted in this field, and it's quite popular recently in the recent 2 years.
Thank you, Mario, for telling us a little bit more about your work and what you are leading with JoinPath. I would like to remind to all the panelists that if you would like to comment anything or do you want to add something to any intervention, you can just raise your hand. You will find the option here below on the right side. Otherwise, you can just open your microphone and do it politely. Okay? Great. So now I would like to ask Stefan. Tencent is well known for being the largest social media company in Asia and the world's largest gaming company. How does this fit today's discussion topic on smart manufacturing?
Yeah, that's a good question. And in general, you're absolutely right. Since Tencent is this large juggernaut of a company that's having most of the service, of course, used for themselves in terms of social media, entertainment, all that stuff, it seems to be a bit disaligned, but it isn't. Because with that large company, one of the 7 largest tech companies in the world, you have a big need of technology yourself. And since we are in the media industry, those needs are globally. So we are very high in compute, in what we need in storage, in speed, in cutting edge technology regarding transcoding, all that stuff, even into IoT, to have those kinds then aligned within our own machinery that we need to deliver those things to the customer. So we had the basis for ourselves already in our data centers. And with that basis and also the developments we had for singular customers in that case in cooperation, someday it just made sense to make it more public, a bit more broad, and then bring those learnings and those resources that we already had ready to the world and make that cloud thought that Amazon basically birthed a few years ago, and also take that with Tencent, because if there's already the fundamentals there, there's only benefits to be had. And with that background, the resources and the learnings that Tencent has in those industries, there are very, very special ways in how you can leverage those solutions for businesses and make things like a smart manufacturing truly happen, or even gamify them if we talk about gaming, and even use some channels to get to your end customers easier. So you have this combination of an ecosystem that you can create.
Thank you, Stefan. Now, Yun-Sung, from your experience and perspective, what is the unique feature of China's smart manufacturing comparing with the European companies? Could you provide some concrete examples?
Yes, I've experienced, in collaborating with Chinese partners, especially in the robotics applications in the warehouse automation. And from the experience, what I have is that I think there are three parts of it. The first one actually is the development speed. Each iteration product development is much higher, the space we have. And it's very different from what the European companies do. As just Andrea said, it's a little bit over engineering. And the second point of view is that, let's say, with the Chinese customers, their expectations actually are built on little by little, not like the existing European companies that they already have an idea of what exactly they want, and they have a kind of a level for their quality. And for the Chinese customers, they can adapt to the fast pace of the iteration. And the third part I see is really from the people side. I think the Chinese employees or Chinese partners I've been working with are very motivated. So there are some positive parts of it, also negative side of it. For example, the employee turnover rate is very high. So basically, sometimes we start a project which might last for 2 years, and in the middle of the project, the employees maybe already go to other companies. So this is also what I've experienced.
Thank you, Yun-Sung. If Stefan or Mario or Andreas would like to add anything to this point, remember that you can always do that, okay? Now, I would like to go next with another very interesting question. How to keep competitive, in Chinese market? Maybe Andreas, can you give us a little bit of better understanding of how to be competitive?
How to stay competitive, yes. Yes, there's a lot of competition in Chinese market, and we have to admit that the local companies, the local competitors are getting stronger and stronger. So I think this is something that every European is struggling to cope with in the local market. But on the other hand, don't be afraid of your competitors. So look at them, see how they do, why they do what they do, how they do it, and how they act, especially with their customers. And that's something that we should adopt as a European company. So this kind of service attitude, the proximity to our customers, building good relationships with the customers, permanently be on site, be quick in reaction, be responsive, and not being arrogant. This is something that is very important for the success in the Chinese market. A lot of European companies do it the European way in China, and forgetting that maybe expectations from customers are different. And we're coming back to what I said in the beginning, the speed of reaction is very important. So if the customer has a problem, be on site, be immediately on site. And not just tell them, okay, you can get the solution in a month. So I'll give you an example. I had problems with a component that we purchased recently. Within 3 hours, I had 3 people of the supplier company on site fixing that. They were not allowed to get in due to Corona measures, so they did it outside. So this is the kind of flexibility that makes you competitive and makes you survive on the Chinese market. So understanding your customers' expectations and needs is, like everywhere in the world, most important in the local market. And then for sure, get the best people. There's a huge variety of very knowledgeable, very experienced, very willing people to perform. Get those people, get the best people, maintain those people for your company. So try to avoid this high fluctuation rate. Might as well listen to your people, make working for your company being enjoyable. And another important factor that is often controversially discussed is, in my understanding, be local. That means as well do local designs, do it locally with local teams, and do it for the local market. Don't expect that the global design is working in China too.
Yeah, very true, very true. And what maybe also might be a point is not being afraid of failure, which sounds a bit harsh because, of course, everyone doesn't want to fail. But I'm speaking of little things. So it goes a bit back into this over-engineering aspect, maybe. Also the fear of not having everything planned out and every eventuality for every project is already laid out for the next 5 years, but maybe a bit shorter vision on that. Having something that might still have a few variables, but is still a viable option. And just going with that and trying new things and providing new service to your customers, and also be okay with them not working out over time and exiting them, trying something new. As my experience at least, that is something that's also expected in the Chinese market. Because they have this fast adoption rate and this willingness to try new things, they also expect the companies to provide that and not dwell on old existing goals from 10 years ago that just improved in quality over the time. Of course, that's a very, very good thing, specifically for European companies to have, but still having that edge on the new side of things is important to stay on the edge of the market and not fall behind over time.
Thank you, Stefan. I can see that Young Song agrees with some of the points they were mentioned, right?
I think they say the very important thing is about the localization. I mean, in China, if you want really to be competitive in China, then you do it in a more Chinese way. Then also you want to understand your customers, their expectations, their cultural background, and their industry, status at the moment.
Thank you for adding that. Okay, so I'll go with the next question. This question will be for Mauro, indeed. You were mentioning before about the augmented reality. So which ones are the benefits for the customers for using that augmented reality, Mauro?
Yeah, well, with the Industry 4.0s, service operations such as maintenance and remote support have increased in complexity. Having the right information in the right moment to deal with the task and emergency can make a difference in terms of service, product, and implementation times, as Andrea said before. And the technician should, as far as possible, be an expert. But today, expert workers are very rare, and to training a person, a company has to spend at least 3,000 euros per training per worker per skill. So today, with the augmented reality system supported by the right artificial intelligence, we can have a platform to move knowledge in a faster way from an artificial intelligence to a human person. And in this, or even to transfer knowledge from humans to humans. Why not? So with this kind of a platform, we can solve a problem very quickly, reducing people movement worldwide, doing remote training, and provide a better after-sales services. So that's point are very critical for the smart manufacturing.
Thank you, Mauro.
Yes, maybe adding a comment from my side. I think that's, since we're all in this global pandemic, I think especially situations like this open new horizons and as well opening the willingness to try something out. And this augmented reality, doing virtual inspections, remote assess, remote service, having people joined together from all areas of the world in one common forum like today, since this is something that got a higher value now due to the general situation that we're all in.
I can see that
Right,
Stefan and
Andrea.
Mario are agreeing.
Definitely, we got a lot of requests during the pandemic for the remote support using augmented reality, and this kind of technology today can be applied not just on the manufacturing, but even to other market sectors which were very far from those technology. But that is true. Pandemic push a lot on these technologies.
Yeah, also quite interesting solutions sometimes. I remember we had, I think it was Sun-E Heavy Industries. I'm not sure if it's the right name, but Isong might know that, or Andreas. It's a large manufacturer.
Yeah.
Perfect. And with those guys, we had an optical quality assurance solution that was remotely controlled by Europe. That was quite challenging to do, I have to say. So basically, they have high induction ovens. They go at very high temperatures to mold some of the machinery. And for those, they usually had someone on premise to then look if everything's going all right, if the things go according to what they need, basically, and if the materials come out at the right, the right angles, the right spot, at the right quality that they need. So that's only possible, of course, with very, very much knowledge and very much training over years and years to have that eye for such details. And what they figured is it might be easier to do it remote. So they combined basically AI and machine learning on having a machine have like 95% of the whole thing already done by themselves, so that the bulk of the work is gone. And only if the machine then is not sure if that is still in the midst of what they need, then it would remotely be accessed. And then with cameras that are especially designed, of course, to not melt away with their teeth, look into the thing from different angles, have it moved around by machines and on different spots, and then have the OK remotely. So it was quite interesting to see that such small things have such a high importance for a company as well.
Yeah, we did something similar, actually, if you'd like me to add on this, Maria. Not as sophisticated as what Stefan mentioned, but simple things like we have customers outside of the country. They are not able to come and do the first article inspection, so the initial view on the new products, the new designs, the new manufacturing quality. So we simply did this remotely via webcams, WeChat, cell phones, so simple means, but even those make things possible that were previously not possible and enable us to continue with the business even under these difficulties.
Totally agree with you. Yes, also for example, for some of kind of FAT, the test, and then we have to do that, as you say, with the cameras with both technologies. Otherwise, there's no way. I mean, because of due to COVID. But also, I would say, thanks to COVID, that's really pushed forward the digital transformation in the manufacturing industry.
China is well known to be workbench of the world, with some of the largest manufacturers being located there. Can you shed the light on how these companies leverage current technologies for the benefit of manufacturing and/or additional services? For example, Stefan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the Sun-E example from just now goes in that direction, but there are a few large companies that, of course, need smart manufacturing also just because of the mass that they have. So outside of added value, better flexibility, there's also just a mass of things that they need to somehow organize. I'm thinking about Foxconn at the moment, where I think they have around 400,000 machineries that they have to remotely somehow keep an eye on what's the status, how far are they going, is it still in good control, can we have a remote access to also maintain that. So with them, we had a predictive maintenance, for example, included in their flexible IT that they had. So they have a DevOps-driven microservices architecture for their IT, which basically means nothing more than it's software that is easily destructible by little parts, so that we can just change those little parts and have it a bit more evolved in terms of just having to throw away the whole thing and build something from zero. So that combined with then having basically the IoT side of things makes it easy to have the knowledge of your machinery, knowing where it is, what happens, but also being able to include new data or learn from old data whenever you need it, depending on the new needs of the market. That might be a quite something that might also for European companies be very tangible on where that benefit lies. Something that's also for quite some years already existing.
Thank you, Stefan. Mario, Andreas, or Yin-Sung, you would like to add anything to?
I would like to add a point that also have the experience in advocating, also consulting of adoption of the smart sensors for the predictive maintenance. For example, like the warehouse automation, we have a stacker crane of 40 meters high, and it's a critical element for the downtime, for the turnover of the warehouse. So actually, with this kind of machinery, it's really important that we have these sensors to predict when it will be failure, and then we can organize the services time at the right time without disrupting all the daily operations. And I've seen even the futures. I think once you collect enough data, you can have even get the deeper insight of it, even comes to the business strategic perspective. And in the future, you can also provide other services based on the data analytics you have done.
Yeah, that's an important point, the whole big data thing. I have the feeling we sometimes forget because it's old news by now, but still very important. So we still need, of course, to have those data. And even if we don't need them right now, we might always be needing them back. So if you think like, let's say 7-8 years back, there was the big data start, I would say, and everyone wants to push for that in warehouses of data. No one knew why, but we wanted to do it because Facebook did it, basically. So that was the start. And now with IoT becoming really, really tangible the last 3 to 4 years, I would say, and the future looking very, very promising on how we do it, combining with machine learning and also augmented reality, like Mauro, for example, suddenly new information would be quite cool to have that maybe the companies do not have because they didn't implement it in time. And of course, doing it now is possible, but it now takes much more time to, of course, evolve and align that. If you look, for example, in the automotive industry, completely different world, but you had a Tesla there who just started collecting the data of their cars early, and a few years later, the rest said, sure, we should do it as well. It wasn't as stupid as we thought. And now, sure, they're doing it, but they're quite behind. And to make that gap disappear, they need money without end, because there's no compression algorithm for time. It's just not happening. So you just need to scale, and that's worst nightmare for every industry with a low margin. So automotive maybe can still manage that. Manufacturing or retail, that might be a difficult way to solve things. So starting soon and thinking about the future is always quite important.
Andreas, what do you think about the potential business opportunities in the smart manufacturing sector in China?
Well, we just heard it actually, because China being very much open to new technologies, and that combined with the necessity, the need to stay ahead and maintain their momentum and being the manufacturing hub of the world, they have to get smart. And since the European companies, at least from the China perspective, are perceived to be ahead of the rest of the world in being smart in manufacturing, I think we have good opportunities. All European companies still have. China very much believes in European technology. They're able and willing to use those technology, to integrate that into their workflows. So seen from that, there's lots of opportunities. And not just in smart manufacturing, because what we heard before as well, there's smart service, smart maintenance. Everybody wants to be smart and has to be smart. Just, as I said, to keep its momentum and continue to strive and advance in the future.
Now, in your opinion, which industrial sector has China's smart manufacturing more opportunities and advantages? Yin-Sung.
I would say that especially from the robotic applications, either from the robotics, from the hardware as well as software. I would see that nowadays I see the autonomous driving, actually technology vehicles are developing very fast in China. even I've been supported in actually implementing one of their projects in the Europe. So in China, we can see many restaurants. I mean, they have already robotics applications. The warehouses already, I mean, a large, I would say even a red ocean market there. And others, I can see even from the software perspective, the robotics for the analytics, for the machine visions actually are developing very fast.
That's one sector definitely, I think. What I would expect is that in regard of focus on being more environmentally friendly, sustainability, this kind of general approach in China and this growing focus on this environmentally friendly technologies opens as well a lot of opportunities for European companies.
Thank you, Andreas, and hear you some with those comments. Now, Maura was mentioning before about some of the things that he has been doing in Europe, but as well others in China. So exactly what projects have you completed in Europe and the other ones in China to understand a little bit better?
Yeah. As I mentioned before, during the COVID, for example, just talking about the recent project, during the COVID, a lot of European companies with which provides machinery to Chinese factories or Chinese customer, they needed to support and continue to support the customer even during the pandemic. So for this reason, we provide a kind of platform to support remotely using augmented reality. So the remote expert can support the on-field user in real time without a move from their location, and they can support in real time everywhere. That is very, it was very useful for companies such as Biticino Legrand Group, which is one of the largest manufacturing in energy asset market in the Europe. But in China, we did other kind of a project as well. For example, in Dongguan, we provided the AR platform for one of the largest smartphone providers. All the procedures there in the smart factories are automated. Then there are just a few workers, but when something going wrong, they needed to know the right skill to fix the problem easily. So these smart glasses are able to recognize the context, providing the right information, or connecting to a remote expert in real time. So that is what we are doing in Europe, in China, and the highly request from the smart manufacturing is increasing day by day.
That's very interesting, Maura. We're very looking forward to even understand more about those initiatives, about your projects. And who knows, maybe you will be joining forces with the other colleagues that are here inside this panel. So thank you for sharing those comments. Now, challenges like in Chinese firewall and regulations like PIPL make it difficult for international companies to deliver the same services and technological basis at the same quality and performed as EG. So how Tencent help European manufacturers to deliver the same quality services in China as they deliver it at home, Stefan?
Yeah, sure. So in general, that's an issue that I think every company has come around as soon as they're going global. Are those country-specific challenges that they might have, with China being very peculiar in that sense, in terms of laws, in terms of especially connectivity and performance that you can do while connecting different countries. So usually that challenge goes in hand with either high amounts of investment that you have to do, or just giving up and saying, okay, the Chinese departments are working by themselves, we align one time a week, and that's basically it. So that's how usually it ends. We try to do it a bit differently. Just because we came from China, we have that benefit in this case of being a hyperscaling cloud based from China, we have the ability to use our own backbone, that's a global backbone, to connect our services as long as they're on our cloud directly via our solution. So it doesn't have to go through that big firewall, which of course in performance terms already is a big benefit. You can accelerate past that quite easily. Yet, of course, you have to stay compliant. So that's not a green card to then start selling stuff to the Chinese people, but at least you have the performance thing out of your mind. In terms of compliance, Tencent is still required, of course, to comply with all governmental needs, and also are still open for audits by the government every day. So if there are things that are non-compliant, we will get also X'd from that customer project, meaning that we have our own interest in making the customer as compliant as possible. So we're working with them step by step, as long as they, of course, let us, which I would urge every company, please do that. If you work in China, please let your consultant work with you closely and do not keep secrets. That way, we can also ensure, of course, that the things stay compliant, that they work out, maybe work around with architecture ideas on how to do that, maybe include also Hong Kong, because there are special opportunities on how to leverage that a bit outside case, close to mainland China, and still leverage basically your local IT. Keeping in mind things like German law, for example, which is very specific on personal data, similar now to the new Chinese law, PIPL, on how to provide basically local data centers in different countries to have those isolated, not being accessed by other countries, but still have maybe, let's say, more anonymous data aligned and synchronized by those systems. So having those learnings still, isolating those things that cannot go out of that country. That are things that are only possible if you have someone that can globally support you in some way by your hand. And that's something that we specialize in this case. Absolutely.
Thank you, Stefan. Now, Andreas, what do you choose YinSync to set up your factory?
Pardon, can you say that again?
Yes, asking you, why did you choose YinSync to set up your factory? I apologize for my pronunciation.
No problem. Why Jiaxing? Most people probably don't even know where Jiaxing is, so maybe I'll start with that. Jiaxing is in Zhejiang province, which is the province in China neighboring Shanghai to the south and west, whereas Jiangsu is another province neighboring Shanghai in the north. So there are certain aspects that a company or an organization has to consider when choosing the right place to invest or maybe to relocate to. You know? One thing is to know that, for example, Shanghai has a focus now on setting up R&D centers, being a technology hub, but not a manufacturing hub anymore. So finding the right spot to do manufacturing is getting more and more difficult. I mean, it's more and more costly in Shanghai itself. So naturally, we look for neighboring places. Then you have to consider for sure certain aspects like where your supply chain, where are your suppliers located, where are your customers, where's your competition. So, and then what kind of support and opportunities do this place that you chose offer to you? Yeah. Jiaxing is right outside of Shanghai. That means we can take advantage of being close to Shanghai, where we have very good universities. It means very good and very knowledgeable and educated people. A lot of companies move out of Shanghai due to the given reasons to more remote places. So this makes you, if you relocate to just a proximal, so like a neighboring place, makes it more attractive. We have, on the other hand, similar good opportunities from the capital city of Zhejiang, Hangzhou, which is very close. And we have in Jiaxing, or our place, it's Pinghu, which is part of Jiaxing. We have an investment zone, which is kind of dedicated to European companies, especially German companies. So there's very dedicated staff. There's German-speaking staff. There's a lot of European companies already. So there's a kind of a community that facilitates neighbors and newcomers as well. So besides that, these investment zones give you a lot of advantages besides finding a place outside of an investment zone. So centralized government support, as I said, dedicated teams, etc. So for us, having looked into many places around, and Jiaxing actually one of the first places I looked into, and finally I came back to it because I believe this is for us, for our needs, it's the best place. If you are a chemical industry, maybe Jiaxing is not the best place. There's other places that are better, but for general manufacturing, Jiaxing with its vicinity to Shanghai, with its good infrastructure, having close distance to ports, close distance to airports, very close distance to highways, but being significantly cheaper than hubs like Shanghai, it's a good place to invest and to be. So we are very happy to be there, and we think it was the right choice.
Thank you, Andreas. And given the current deglobalization trend, according to you, Yong-sung, which cooperation mode is the most suitable with the Chinese partner?
I would say that Andreas and others already said before that we think we need to empower our partner in China and also to let them to do the business and also to give them the freedom actually to regulate, to control, to make the business done. I think it's really the trust is very important there, as I've seen that many, Western, even some big corporations here, the Western, in the European, they still want to have full control on their China subsidiary, which in my opinion would not be a very good way, to promote their business in China. I don't know if you agree with me, Andreas, or from your extensive experience.
I do, sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Yong-sung. Now, Mauro, are there different project needs between Europe and Chinese companies, in your opinion?
Well, in Europe, companies are quite slow in the technology adoption for many reasons compared to the Chinese one. For example, they have a long decision-making process due to many heads who have to decide to accept a technology or not. A long buy process as well. And usually they prefer custom-oriented project. So as they are not really prepared sometime to get solution like software as a services ready to be implemented. Another point compared to the Chinese, if we have to compare with the Chinese company, based on my experience, Chinese companies has a high and faster technology adoption, and probably the main reason are because they have a short decision maker process for sure, and they already looking for a software as a service product better if already used in the West, and they don't have they are not afraid to fail. And I want to remember to all that the failure is the basement of the innovation, and this makes the difference in terms of production and the product. So, and as other speakers say before, meanwhile in the West, you can close a deal usually even remotely, especially during those 2 years. In China, you have to be local, present. You have to be present in China to close the deal. So that is from my opinion.
Thank you, Mauro. Stefan, if you were looking more into manufacturing for end customers, what trends does Stefan see here?
Manufacturing for end customers. Yeah, sure. So if you think, for example, into manufacturing and customer goods, which goes into that direction, basically, there's a clear trend, I would say, in terms of customization. So being able to have very specific, very unique items created on demand with your special color for your shoe or the different kind of, I don't know, nook and cranny that you want to have adjusted to make your own thing happen. I think that's happening more and more, which has been in the past, of course, in fairs already a bit of a thing. You could order your own stuff, but now having that automated a bit and really being able to just order it with your own customization overlaid, it seems to be something that comes more and more and more, and is also partly already expected, depending on the region you're looking at. Plus, I would say the inclusion of digital assets is something that seems to be on the rise. So if you look a bit into, I hate the word metaverse, but metaverse and specifically NFTs, combining basically those unique digital assets and combining those with whatever you have manufactured, sometimes even machinery itself, to create basically some kind of, let's say, far away target goal that you can have by collecting those or having something that's unique to you, making it a bit more personal and having it more attached to the end customer itself. It's quite interesting and also opens new possibilities on how to market that, how to maybe have an experience around that. If we take still that realm of, for example, a shoe or some luxury good in this case, why not make it a gamified version of that? Like the Pokemon Go craze that was here like a few years ago, where you throw your Pokeball digitally at some wild animal to collect them. Why not do something similar while you go around shopping and have the chance of having a digital asset that then gives you the right to buy a physical asset at a discounted price that's unique to you, for example. Stuff like that are ideas that are thrown around at the moment that I find quite interesting to see what really will come out of that, because it's very, very early stage. But there seems to be a fun future to combine basically the smart manufacturing aspect with the end customer and all its channels.
Thank you, Stefan. Okay, now, Andreas, how the local government helps your company to develop and grow?
The local government plays an important role. They can make it difficult for you, they can make it easy for you. In our case, the local government was very supportive when we were setting up the company. And you can imagine this is a complex process. There's a lot of simple things you have to consider, starting with the business license, the company name, or this thing. And nowadays, and this is not only true in Jiaxing, but in a lot of other places too, the government offers a kind of a one-stop service solution. So they have the experts, they have the government offices on one place, and they guide you through the process. So in our case, for example, we were able to set up the new company. We did this in the beginning of 2019 in a very short time, because the business license in just 2 weeks, without having to involve any external lawyer, for example. Able to do this with our internal resources plus the local government. Then there's a lot of certificates you have to get, be it environmental health, safety, occupational health. So it's complex, but the government is supportive. They tell you how to do it, smoothen the way, and recommend the right agents and consultants, etc. So besides that, for sure, there's a lot of incentives for European companies. So typically, if you're a newcomer, they offer you support to find the right place. They offer you land use rights. They have prepared factory buildings according to more or less European standard for you for rent. They offer you build-to-suit services. You can define your needs. The government may build the company for you. So in general, we can say that the local government is extremely supportive. They're interested in European companies to settle in China. There is competition between all these development and investment zones. But if you decide to come to China, you can expect a lot of support from the local government. And finally, up to financial support, tax incentives, etc.
Thank you, Andreas. Now, Yong-Song, how could we leverage the Chinese abundant engineering resources I know that by 2025, China's yearly STEAM PhD graduates will be around 77,179 and will nearly double those in the United States. So in your view, which engineering skills are outstanding and valuable?
Now we're seeing the trend, actually, the young Chinese, they are very keen on, being the expert in the technical field. And I would say, just as Andreas said, that like the Shanghai, they have already have made their strategic changements about from a manufacturing site to transform it into R&D centers for the global corporates. So I think really it's an opportunity for the European countries as well as for the local Chinese companies to think about the R&D capability of the Chinese engineers and scientists could do. So I think it's really, I see it as a great advantage of being in China.
Thank you, Yun-Sung. And how do you see the future of this sector, Mauro?
Well, from my opinion, the technology adoption in the smart manufacturing will be very high. And in the next few years, it will touch some trends that has never seen before. And the main player in as a technology will be the artificial intelligence and big data. Big data are the basement for the AI group, and not only for the system, the machine. I think that AI will partner up with workers and simplify the perception of the working environment, and the workers and the machines will work together in a new concept, in a new way to work. I'm used to call those kind of platform collaborative artificial intelligence, a kind of virtual assistance for the industrial market to speed up the knowledge spread. That is my opinion on smart manufacturing.
Thank you, Marty. Now, from your experience, what will be the future of manufacturing look like in China? What sets this environment apart from Europe in your mind, Stefan?
So in general, I think the basis is still the adoption thing. So what we see, we have our cool projects coming up and also some already established, for example, our own HQ. I just saw also in the public chat that Dirk was asking about sustainability. It goes a bit into that example. So we had the case on combining or thinking about what the future might look like for us, for ourselves, in terms of having a smart manufacturing or more smart building, also inclusion. So how to make this thing combined in some way and not have different kind of siloed solutions. So a smart solution here, an IoT platform there, and then project by project, you have your own cockpit. And the idea was, since Tencent is still the largest gaming company, to have that gamified in some way, of course. We want to have that fun. And what came out of it is quite interesting, quite effective, and is something that, in terms of sustainability, has made a big change. So the thing is that we have a digital twin aspect, basically creating of your building, for example, or of your facilities, a digital complete CAD model that's interactive, that then can combine all of your data and IT into those layers and make those accessible. So a bit, if you think about old 80s science fiction, a bit like that. So you have your building and you can work around, you click on your different scenario where you want to go, in which room, then into which machine or what kind of function, and then you can access those, check the latest data, the analytics, you can look into the future, make changes on the fly. And it's quite fun and quite impressive, I have to say. So we had that showcase when I started at the company, where they showed our own HQ. And I said, yeah, that's a great mock-up, very fun to see, thank you very much. But then they showed us, no, it's not a mock-up, check this out, and put on the lights live in the room where they showcased it, basically, opened the doors outside on the streets and stuff like that. That was very interesting to see, and they had that nailed down up to each pipe that offers gas or electricity. Everything like that was completely made. And we have more and more customers wanting to implement that specifically in manufacturing, but also sometimes, for example, football stadiums are interested in that as well, because it has also a marketability to the end customer. But in terms of sustainability, it becomes very, very interesting because you have this large overview of all of the things that are running, and you can automate it step by step, setting your boundaries on what kind of marker you want to pop up or want to change automatically or by hand, and then find those collaborations in a visual way, which for humans is much easier than doing that by data. So that combines basically the big data automatic machine learning aspect with the more human visual learning aspect of things, making it a very efficient operation model. So I'm very keen to see if that becomes the norm somewhere down the road, or if it's a different kind of thing that maybe is more in the completely automated way. But so far, I have to say, this is an impressive way that I would love to see come further also in Europe.
Thank you, Stefan. Indeed, I'm going to use this opportunity, connecting what you were saying at the beginning of your answer. We have some questions from the audience, and indeed, Dirk was asking, how is China implementing sustainability in the smart manufacturing environments? And I would like to encourage each one of you to answer this question. I know that Stefan, you already say some things about it, but if Andreas, Mauro, and Yeon-sung would like to say anything else, please.
I think that China is doing a big step forward to sustain environment. Meanwhile, they are growing and growing in this market sector. My experience is only 7 years here in China, but I saw the big improvement since the first time I went here. I've been here. And for example, at the beginning, I'm used to see factories, quite similar to the whole style. So many employee, a lot of machine, but less robotic arms. Today, we can see smart factories without employee and just robots, and that's to explain that is not just an improvement through the technology, but is an improvement even about the process and sustainability in some way.
Yeah, I think those zero employee businesses are getting more and more, right? I saw that in restaurants, not in hotels even. It's quite interesting. That's maybe something that the European companies, culture-wise, can maybe adopt a bit more, hopefully step by step, not having that fear that they let people go if they automate. But usually there are other new venues that come out of that where then people are still needed. It just shifts around. And I heard a great example once when basically machinery became more common in the European world. And there was a company digging holes for tunnels with shovels. People with shovels did the tunnel thing. And then he said, here's one machine that can get rid of all the 20 people working for you right now with your shovels. But of course, the company said, no, we don't want to do that. That's terrible. The people have nothing to work with. And then the seller said, okay, if that's the issue, then why not throw away the shovels and get 2,000 people with spoons? Right he is, right it is still. And there's always a new venue of finding work and expanding the business and making it better for everyone. That's the target.
I think anyway, this focus on sustainability we cannot avoid and we don't want to avoid. Yeah, and I think every manufacturing company in China sees that there is a trend, there's an impact on these companies. We see this on the one hand on getting tighter regulations you have to fulfill, energy efficiency, environmentally friendly technologies, and on the other hand, we see that demand from the customers. So customers demand from us environmentally friendly technologies, sustainable technologies, energy efficient technologies. So this opens opportunities for European companies, to say this again.
Thank you, Andreas. But how advanced are compared those implementations of sustainability in China compared to Europe? More or less?
From our experience, at least, it's a land of extremes. So either none at all or completely futuristic. That seems to be like the way to go for new companies, at least, that start out or they're in the growing phase. For existing large companies, they are very fast in the adoption phase, as we said, and they are very keen to push that boundary and find new ways of making sustainability happen. So that seems to be quite a big focus for the future, that they go more and more with. And as Andrea said, that's a big part of what European companies can still provide in terms of value, because those kinds of solutions have been on our map for a long time and need a lot of know-how that we already have. And that is basically what we can provide at the moment to change the economy of the Chinese manufacturing world, on top, of course, of technology.
Stefan, I think in that regard, we have to talk about this good enough approach again, because I don't see this in this field of action.
Yeah, that's true. Good enough would not be enough right here.
Now, we have another question, and this question is for Dr. Matthias. He is saying, since the global environment becomes more difficult to navigate, what can companies do to secure their operations and communication against cyber attacks? Then he's asking, a digital twin is great, but could be used to, for malicious external attacks as well? What can SMEs do? It's a very long question.
Just reading through
Yeah.
it.
Stefan, you first if you want.
Yeah, just reading the question one more time just to be sure. Yeah, so in terms, maybe let's go for the digital twin part, because that's the one that I'm also following through with a few of the customers, even one in Germany, by the way. That will be fun to see how that comes out. Yeah, in terms of cybersecurity, you have to be, of course, very, very keen on how you do it. If you have it, this example, if you have that running for operational use, it's mostly not connected too much to the outside world, outside of the learning algorithms. And thereby, if you have a simple, safe cloud structure, that's not an issue. If, of course, you want to open it up to end customer usage, for example, to also have them navigate your facilities with interactive maps through your model that you're also using for operations, then it becomes a fun thing of security compliance issues, absolutely. There you have to be very careful. I always say, if you have your own data center, it feels more safe, but it isn't. Just simply, how much money can you invest yourself into your own data and IT, and how much money can a big player, like, for example, any cloud player in this world, invest in security, and what's their incentive? If one customer has any issues because they didn't have the right tools to make it safe, the whole cloud concept goes down the drain. If the same happens for a singular data center, they just say we didn't have the money for that, or there was no need before, but now there is, we just change it now. But that's a bit of a different kind of world. And that's the beauty, I feel, of cloud, that you have all your tools on your hand to make it safe and secure, specifically in the whole cyber aspect of things, of course. But you still need to do it. That's something where support is needed, a good consultant is needed, best practices are needed from other companies, maybe even sometimes, to learn and expand and also keep that rolling, because it changes non-stop. There are always new threats coming along. So it makes it challenging, and usually a kind of step-by-step approach is the easiest way. So have maybe, if we go back to the digital example, digital twin or IoT, even make a different kind of iterations of the whole experience that still is combined, because there's no reason why to have one thing running for everyone just with role access. You can still have on-demand capacities or spot instances, for example, for your workloads, for your machinery overview, for your digital twin, and make those then specific to what kind of access they get to the end customer, to a partner, to yourself internally, and then thereby play around on how you can do it. So it's a more conceptual architectural issue, but it's not an issue of impossibility.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Stefan.
I agree with Stefan, and let's say there is no a PC or device 100% secure. When I worked in a PwC as a security manager, we are used to say that the most secure PC or device is that one closing a door in a room without the internet. That is the secure, quite secure. By the way, hacking is a creative process, and doing the cybersecurity expert means continue to learn from the previous mistakes, and that means continue to be prepared. And as Stefan said, you have to follow the process, procedure, and the policy, and adapt those kind of stuff to your company to be at least to have a high level of security. For this reason, as not be take as I don't have to improve my system, because who knows what happen when I will adopt a digital twin, for example. So we have to continue to learn, definitely.
Absolutely. And also, if that for some reason sounds a bit scary to some people, that of course there are threats and they're evolving. Think about why that is. It's because all your value in this case is there in the digital world. So if you do not do that, you just don't have the value, you're not of interest. That's the counterpoint, basically. That's why no one is breaking in anymore into local manufacturers that much, but try more to get into the digital assets, because that's where the value lies. And that's also what kind of value we want to create together with you, if possible.
Okay, so we are arriving to the end of this webinar. I will ask you the last question. Of course, I know that we must continue this discussion, but I'm sure that Federico will be having more digital talks to continue this topic deeper. But for now, which one will be that final statement about smart manufacturing opportunities in China? And this question is for each one of you.
Jose, I didn't quite get the question. Could you repeat that?
Which one would be that final statement about smart manufacturing opportunities in China that you would like to do?
I just take, maybe I just started with it. I just take the advantage of, here being the first, also to answer the questions remaining from the pro. I think the best opportunity that what I see as an international company is you can try to, if you think of a very long development project for products, so you can think about, break down the tasks to the very small ones, and which needs the fast reactions, which needs a lot of iterations. You can leave that part to the Chinese engineers. They are the best, I think, with the agile methodology of developing products. And then the European company can provide the structure and the framework and the experience in designing, in modular design, and to bring it to the industrial products. So I think the European company still has the advantage in industrialization and scaling up. But the Chinese is definitely very excellent in developing fast prototyping. This is my opinion. Also the way I see how to collaborate with each other in manufacturing.
Well, I think that if you are involved in this market, it will be one of the richest markets in the next few years. So you must be there, because it's there where the big things is going to happen. Definitely.
Absolutely, saying the same. So if you're someone new to the workforce, try thinking about that industry. It's very interesting, also for the future. And if you're, of course, already running a business, don't sleep on China. One, of course, for the market itself, but be alone for the possibilities of what you can do and try in that market, because the environment is so different and so fastly evolving and so acceptable on what you want or can do and achieve. It really gives a benefit for the complete global scope of your business. We very seldom see that that's not the case. And that's usually only the case if you try to do it in an old school way and not in the way that might fit that culture. So maybe you can try to figure out a way on to try the best value for your own business, for your own future, and also for maybe your products and services by having that global mindset and finding each country's specific benefits, with China maybe using that speed and flexibility specifically for manufacturing and other industries.
I cannot agree more to what you said, Stefan. Yeah, I think China is a good place to start new things, and China in general and the Chinese people are appreciating all kinds of new technologies, and they have a clear focus on being smart and even smarter than the rest of the world. And that's what we learned recently is being smart means as well adopting to changes that are permanently happening. So I'm very much looking forward to being part of that here in China still.
Okay, so this was the last question in this very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to the audience. Thank you so much to Andreas, to Mauro, to Stefan, to Young-Song for this incredible conversation. It was a pleasure and an honor to share with you this panel. But now I would like to give the microphone to Benedikt Kratz. He's actually the Vice President of the European Senate of Economy and Technology. And he is going to provide you a little present in the name of Utec. So the microphone is yours.
Yes, Maria, thank you very much for having me. As you said, my name is Benedikt Kratz. I'm Vice President of the European Senate of Economy and Technology. And on behalf of Utec and the Senate, I'm happy to present a little gift for our panelists, like always in our wonderful webinars. As you might heard at the beginning of the webinar, in the introduction, you've heard we are one of the world's leading tech network united by this vision. Technology obliges. So we started in Europe in 2015 to unite European enterprises behind this vision and to help them to reach our three major goals: competitiveness, growth, and sustainability. And the Senate of Economy and Technology is like an exclusive advisory board of this network Utec. So it's like based all on the principles of the European Senate and brings together leaders from economy, from science, and politics to advise how to make the best use of technology, let's say, for mankind. And it is a great pleasure to give you this little gift. We have our 3 certificates. As you can imagine, protection of climate is not only one of the biggest goals of the UN, but also of us. And therefore, we are very active with our Climate Action Partnership. And I would like to thank you, dear panelists, again, on behalf of Utec and of the European Senate for your contribution. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And here we are, here with the European Technology Chamber, confirms that a tree for Andreas Walter, a tree for Margaret Rubin, and a tree for Stefan Ruthert, and last but not least, a tree for Yi-Song Chen has been planted in Africa by Utec Climate Action Partnership. So again, we really appreciate this great panel. Thank you very much. I think there were a lot of good points to discuss about further after this webinar. And now it's 10:29. Maria, I think the honor of the last words belongs to you. So thanks for listening and thanks for being our guest today to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Benedikt. As I already mentioned, thank you so much for being here. I encourage you to continue updated with our upcoming events, our upcoming digital hubs. As I told you, this is something that we must continue discussing further, but most of all, we need to understand how we can join forces and how we can work for the same purposes. So if you would like to understand that, keep in touch with the Chamber, with the China Alliance Group, but as well with Federico, who is the one leading this amazing area. So thank you so much again, and remember that technology obliges. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.